Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Review time for the Asus Chromebook. So this has 4 gigabytes of memory in it. It has 32 gigabytes of storage, and I did add in 128 gig extra storage into the micro SD slot. It does have, of course, volume power. It has a headphone jack. It has a Type A 2.0. It has a Type C 2.0, which is also your charge port for Type C. And of course your micro SD for extra storage, because the internal storage sucks. It does have a camera on it as well, built-in speakers down below. Not very loud on the speakers, by the way. Even at full blast, it's not the greatest, okay? Now, let's go through a few things. I've been learning this Chrome OS, and I just learned something new a couple of minutes ago, and I wasted hours downloading all these battery apps to try and find out my battery health and all this other jazz, and I'm like, yeah, next time I'm gonna look a little further. Anyways, before we get into that though, Raid Shadow Legends, really cool game. It will download, the main app is like under 300 megs, but with app data and all that jazz, we're talking about 4 gigabytes, okay, it's gonna need to install. That's a lot of space for a game on a Chromebook that only has 32 gigs of storage, but it is one cool, sick game. I actually really like it. However, I tried a lot of other games too that I thought would be pretty cool, and they seem to be, but horrible. Anyways, now, Raid, I'm not going to bother firing it up. I think we actually did that once already, but it doesn't matter. Look up Raid Shadow Legends. It's a really cool game. That is the only game I have on here, though. Okay, all the battery apps I downloaded, most of them out of 15 all thought this was a 1000 milliamp battery. None of them could read the health statistics of the battery whatsoever. I'm like, just want the health, okay? I don't care. But none of them could do it. And I'm like, yeah, why do we have these apps for if they don't even work? Nothing new to Android for me. I've had loads of problems in the past with Android, as well as now Chrome OS seems to be the same thing, because Chrome OS and Android, the way I'm looking at it so far, they seem to be exactly the same, no difference, okay? So it's kind of like, well, whatever. Anyways, so more yet to be determined either way. But at least the Chrome browser is like Chrome. It's does all my same layouts for my favorites. It's got, you know, a little minimize and all this other jazz, and expansion. Has the X to just exit out, kind of like Windows does, right? Mac OS, you actually have to quit the app, but Windows, you just close the X, and same thing happens here. Some programs, by the way, when you close them out, they'll still be down below on the toolbar, and they'll still be opened in the background. So with a mouse, at least, makes your life simpler. You can just right click and say close, or turn it into tablet mode and swipe it, whatever, okay? Now this thing does go laptop to tablet mode, so if you want it as a tablet, you can just do this, disables the keyboard and the trackpad, and you can use it as a tablet. That's pretty cool. I like that, that's sick. Okay, so that's got a good benefit. It is touchscreen in either mode, which is fine. Now, as far as the battery and all that jazz goes, let me see if I can figure out how to get back into that again. It's here. Yeah, settings. So if you go to settings and you go about Chrome OS and then you hit diagnostics, this is going to tell you your battery info. Congratulations, Kev, you learned something. So, battery health, 92%. Cycle count, 69. Current draw right now is 339 milliamps. The battery is 4,040 milliamps, not 1,000. Okay, like all those apps seem to say. One app actually said it was just over 3,000 milliamp, and I'm like, you're an idiot. It's more than that. Even AMD tells you that, or Asus tells you that. You can do a CPU test diagnostics thing here. Now, according to Asus, they say this is an 8-core processor. I'm pretty sure they're lying. Now, it is an ARM chip, but it does say it's a MediaTek 500. It is an ARM, and it is at 2 gigahertz, but it says 8 threads. Asus apparently cannot tell the difference between threads and cores on this, so 8 threads indicates to me it's a 4-core processor, not an 8-core. They say 8-core ARM chip, which, yes, it is an ARM chip, but it's going to be 4 cores, not 8 cores. It does have 8 threads, which usually indicates 2 threads per core, which would actually indicate being a 4-core processor, unless, but then again, it is ARM, and ARM usually doesn't have threads, so, at least not in Apple world ARM anyways. I don't know about this kind of ARM stuff. It's going to be different. Anyways, so there's a bit of confusion there. I have still yet some things to learn. This Padawan can still learn, that's for darn sure. Bluetooth we have in here, all that sort of jazz. We got Wi-Fi only for internet. I've not tried an Ethernet adapter. I do have an Ethernet adapter I've got one that's C to Ethernet, one that's A to Ethernet. I haven't tried that yet. It doesn't seem to be lacking performance really between being on the charger or off. Mind you, I have more thorough testing to do on that part before we can really confirm or deny that sort of thing. Surfing the internet though, like page to page, you know, I mean, a lot of pages will load really well. Let's get rid of YouTube for now. The Boss website is not all that intense. It doesn't load too bad. This is official public website for public affairs. This is kind of cool. What happens if your landlord sells your house? Bypass iPad locks. Yeah, that actually doesn't work either. USB Thunderbolt drive I bought once from Amazon. Mac keyboard shortcuts. Now, YouTube, on the other hand, this is where I'd be a little concerned about streaming apps like Netflix, CBC, NBC, how well they're going to work, because this is sluggy, you know. So it's kind of like, yeah, we got 4 gigs of RAM. Now, Chrome OS, Chrome laptops usually come with either 2 gig or 4 gig of RAM commonly. Some can come with more. More the merrier, because RAM does make a difference too on how well the OS works and how fast it can load stuff based on Wi-Fi connection and all that other jazz. It all works together, okay? This, on the other hand, this seems to be loaded, but if we start scrolling, we got blanks, and they are loading rather quickly this way, but it should be a lot faster. Now we got to wait for it to buffer, so that kind of really sucks. I haven't run that many videos on this thing, so I don't know what kind of buffering we do run into entirely, but some videos would be a lot faster than others to load. That's why I said I'd be concerned about streaming, you know, like Netflix and stuff on these things, but there are a bazillion apps, and I am going to try Netflix down the road because I do have Netflix subscription for my TV, so we'll see how that goes. But when it comes to applications, here's the thing. I got a warning come up that when installing applications to external storage, like the micro SD card, they say that a vast majority of the apps will prefer to be on the internal and they will work fine there, but a lot of apps will not work or work very well off of external storage because they prefer to be on the internal. So, catch-22, 32 gigs is not a lot of space, kids. When I got this thing, it was factory reset, obviously. I got it from a pawn shop. I paid $109 for it. There's my proof. Okay. That was Canadian bucks. Anyways, it had a 32-bit version of Chrome OS. It did an update to 64-bit Chrome update for Chrome OS. That was all fine, and everything else is all up to date. However, I got up yesterday morning early like I did this morning, darn it, okay, and of course it said, oh, we have another Chrome OS update for you, and there goes another 4 gigs of storage. Anyways, they couldn't have done that right from the start. Anyways, I don't know, but it said it had another Chrome OS update all of a sudden. So, another 4. But when I checked it the other day after going to the 64, I hit check. You're up to date, sir. You're up to date, sir. You're up to date, sir. Okay, fine, cool. Next morning, get up. You need an update, sir. You suck. But programs, I'm running into the same issues as I have on Android devices, like Android, okay, where, yep, the app is for Android. It's on the Play Store. Let's download it. Doesn't work with the garbage. What do you know? Printer, hooked up my laser printer. I knew I was in for something. I had that ever-loving feeling deep down inside, the warmth, the terror, and I was right. Ugh. So I went to ultimateguitarchord.com and I went to go find a song I wanted and put it in the key I wanted. My laser printer was hooked up. It recognized my laser printer, which was great. And I looked at the page setup, got rid of the metadata, don't need it, got rid of the chord diagrams, don't need it. So it's like 2 pages, great, and it's all there. Huh. Nice, sweet, setup went good. Hit print, printed it out, and the chorus, I got the first line, and I got some sort of text of half of the text on the second line, and I went and printed the second page, neglecting the rest of the chorus. But it looked like it was going to print out on screen properly and everything was set right, but on the print job, no, it didn't work. And that is so common to happen on Android. And apparently it's also now common on Chromebooks. It still sucks. So you got to be very careful on how you do things for your print jobs. So leave ample space so it doesn't cut off your text. That is stupidness. Because I can go to the same website on my Mac, my PC with the same laser printer, do the same thing, perfect every time, but Chrome can't do its job right. This is another reason why I say these things are garbage, okay? But I had to get one, okay, for you fine folks, so I can further enforce the video my wife and I did a long time ago for you guys about why these things are junk, okay, and that you should avoid them. However, they do have one nice little part to them, and that's the simple fact that you can, on some of these at least, you can go into tablet mode. And it disables your keyboard and everything, which is nice. So you can sit here and you can touch screen here, and it's nice for 12 inch. You know, that'd be kind of cool. You know, I could take that to church and I could run my Guitar Tap program, but unfortunately that's not going to happen because Guitar Tap is no longer available on the Play Store. So I can't even try and see if the newer OS has helped make it work better. But my last initial experience with one of my students having an Android tablet, we tried to set her up so that we could get rid of all the paper stuff and the binders for her. And because her Apple tablets all needed new batteries, so it's kind of like, well, you know, got an Android one. Okay, they got Guitar Tap for that. So you buy the program and you download it, and it didn't work worth a darn. But on the Apple iPad, it works perfect and flawless as per usual. Apple does it right. Further enforcing Apple is so much better. Anyways, yeah, it takes a couple hours to charge the battery from dead because this thing was like deader than a doornail. You do have a power button and volume button, but then your keyboard also has your volume as well. So now if you want to know how to get into starting up from an external device on one of these things, power off, hold down escape, turn the power on, don't let go of escape, and you can boot up from an external stick if you have one with an OS. However, even though this is an ARM chip, ARM and AMD chips are not supported for Mac or Windows, but I had to try it anyways just for giggles, and it turns out, yes, quite correct, the internet did not lie about something. ARM chips and AMDs are not supported to even do a Windows install. It's very straightforward and easy for Windows, not so much for Mac apparently, but you can only go to Catalina anyhow, which is extinct now, until they fix that problem. So I don't know if there's going to be a workaround in future on ARM or AMD, but we'll have to wait. But for now, Intel chips and certain Intel chips only are supported for Mac and PC to get rid of the Chrome OS on this thing and turn it into a MacBook or a PC. So that can be done in lots of YouTube videos. So I'm going to have to check them out and see if anybody did do a workaround for ARM yet. But general information search, yeah, not happening. So where do we put this little baby? Well, new or used, I don't care. I paid $109, but I had explained already in my main video why I had to buy one of these things because of my job I'm currently doing. I still have to do the little experiment to see if I can hard reset this and leave my passcodes and stuff and see if it's going to do the same thing as Android. And if it does, well, at least now we know what we're in for should we end up with any of these Chromebooks to try and reset. Hopefully we won't have issues, but we'll find out. But the security on Android is just as tight as Apple is, and I've talked to you guys already about that. But but we want to find out if Chromebooks are along the same line. So anyway, but overall, I would say 3 out of 5 with a cautionary. If you're going to buy into these Chromebooks, at least get something with ample storage. But then again, you're going to really pay for a lot more storage for internal use and to make it more functional. You're better off just buying yourself a Windows laptop, to be honest. If you don't want to buy a Mac, that's fine. I'm not going to say, okay, you got to buy a Mac. Okay, listen to me. I have both platforms at home, okay? When it comes to gaming, I'm sorry, PCs rule, Macs can drool, okay? Especially with Apple Silicon. But super high-end Intel Macs, well, they kick butt and take names, at least in gaming for doing that sort of stuff. But when it comes to the Chromebooks, though, in all honesty, spend the same money or maybe a couple of dollars more and get yourself a Windows laptop or a good used Mac if you're going to go the Mac way that can still run a current OS, and you would do far better than buying one of these pieces of garbage, okay? Because literally, they are just that, in my opinion. They are a nightmare. They are a pain in the butt. Things don't always work right. You can't put a lot of apps onto external storage when you run out of your internal, and your internal still has to have about 4 or 5 gigs free at all times in case you do run into issues like swap, okay, because you have a lack of RAM, okay, because these things are usually sold 2 to 4 gig of RAM. If you want 8 gig of RAM, you're going to pay a lot more, okay? So they're not the most practical solution, which is probably why you see like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things up for sale on Marketplace. Pawn shops have them, and pawn shops are selling them pretty cheap at 109 bucks Canadian, so probably about 50 to 75 bucks in your US, in the USA, okay, for the same bloody machine. And some of these Chromebooks even look like, for brand new, they look so archaic. I'm like, bezels that thick, and I'm like, I had a few choices of Chromebooks for the money, and this thing was the sexiest and had the best quality display and the thinnest bezels. And even against other 2021 and 2019 models, this thing was still like king when it came to spec line and everything over those other ones. And we're talking like HP and Dell and a few other brands, right? Asus kind of really did a sick job on theirs, okay? So if you want to go for the whole, slimline, sexy, thinner type of thing and, beautiful display and all that, the resolution is just below 2K, which is nice. It's a really nice little machine when you compare it in that sense to others that some of them were actually a little bit more money and some of them were a little bit less. But, this is a 2021 model and it's still in amazing condition and the battery is still at well over 90%. So we definitely got a good little machine. But even at that over 90, this thing is not going to get 16 hours of rated runtime, okay? We already know that for a fact, right? So they over-exploded their ratings, same as the website said it was an 8-core, yet in here it says 8 threads, which is not 8 cores. Threads are not cores. So that means it's a quad-core ARM chip that has 8 threads. And Apple doesn't use threads anymore with their kind of ARM tech, which is slightly different than PC ARM, or in this case, this kind of ARM. I don't know. I still have some things to figure out on this thing. Either way, I'm going to research this chip a little bit more intense. So, in all, that's what we got for you. Take it as you will. Buy it. Don't buy it. I'd say just go buy a PC laptop for the same kind of money. You'd do better off. Anyways, thanks for watching. Sorry for the long video, but we had to tell you everything that we know so far. And I'll let you know if you can actually reset these things, even if they're still signed into. That's another video, though. See ya.